Hey everyone, so in today's vlog we are going to talk about finding your spiritual path, and I want to make it easier for you by giving you some steps of how it happens. My reference points are going to be from the Law of One, the tarot in particular, and what I'm going to do today is I am going to talk about the tarot, which are archetypes of our lives in the transformation stage. So the transformation stage is basically, if you can see, it's right here, but I have the cards here to help us. All right, so if you guys want to find the mind maps that I draw, you can actually go on to Instagram, and I started a page, it's called Spiritual Mind Maps, for this in a copy, if you like. Okay, so usually what happens on your spiritual path is you're gonna start feeling and acknowledging how much you hate to be depressed, how much you hate fear, and how much you hate anxiety, and you begin to think there's gotta be another way. And usually this is going to happen if you've been through an episode of tragedy, a long period of unhappiness. You just kind of wake out and you have these bursts of, it's almost like an intuition that comes through you and makes you realize that there is a better way. So what that does is it begins the seeking process. Now, from the Law of One tarot, the mind, what the mind does at this point is it does this. This card here represents duality. So your mind surrenders for a quick moment, allows intuition to come in and to make you realize, like, what in the hell is the opposite of feeling like shit? What is the opposite of, so in tarot, the Lover's card, oh, you guys can't see it, but even these two circles, that, think of that. What happens is when you get here, you begin to understand there's got to be something else. Like I said, the next part of it is, what is that something else? And at first, don't let your mind take over. Your mind's going to try and give you all these other options. Don't let that mind take over. What you want to do at this juncture is you want to just know the simplicity of the duality, and the opposite of being unhappy is being happy. And what I did in this juncture was I began to really, like, even when I was unhappy, I started to feel happy. Even though my life I felt like was a piece of shit, I still went and did the polar opposite to trick my mind into, no, I'm not upset, I'm not sad, I'm actually happy, and I'm not gonna have a depressed fucking day. I'm gonna have an amazing day. And the way I did that was I made myself go outside. I made myself go for a walk. I made myself at one point stop and smell the roses, literally. I stopped and I would gaze at flowers. As I'm walking, I started getting interested and opening up because I made myself smell flowers. I started noticing all, like, the life on flowers, like on a rose bush, all the bees. And then I started noticing, and this is over time, right? Then I started noticing how the bees work, like their little antennas, whatever you want to call them. But I didn't know at the time, but what I began to do was, in the beginning, I only wanted to trick my mind because I was sick of being hurt and sad and hated my life. So I was like, fuck this shit, I'm tricking my mind. And as I started tricking my mind, I started with happiness and enjoying life a little bit. Actually, I just answered the question. I began to enjoy life in its fullest simplicity, like roses, the insects, how life goes on, like how, the cycle of life, the circle. I started thinking about that kind of stuff. And this came over weeks, mind you. It didn't happen overnight. I had to make a very, very conscious decision to let go of the stuff that was not serving me. And the stuff that wasn't serving me was the depression, the sadness, the tragedy in my life. I was stuck. I was completely stuck in it. Now, if you look at this card, if you look at this, it's just a symbol journal. This here is the mind complex, the negative path and the positive path in the Law of One Tarot. These are archetypes. This is the mind complex. So this is your polarity. Once you realize what's the opposite of negative, I'm going to do whatever positive is, and whatever radiance, the positive path is radiance, the negative path is absorption. Whatever makes me radiate today, I'm going to make myself do it. I'm getting out of this shit. I'm tired and I'm sick of it. That is this here. This is the archetype. If you want to see it in symbols and in like sacred geometry, there is the archetype. You're finding your duality. And when you find the duality, when you do the opposite of negative, you start to come to a balance. You start to come to a middle point. And that middle point literally feels like, okay, there's stuff outside of my shit. My depression is just my victimhood. Look at life. It's moving. It's going on. Breathing feels good finally. So that is this archetype here. Now, the next archetype, I took them. I hate it when this happens. Okay. So the next archetype is where is it? The next archetype is, looks like, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry. I want to find it. Okay, let's grab the board. So the next archetype is the body complex. So the body complex archetype actually looks like this guy here. So this in the tarot deck is recognized and known as the death card. So what happens is once your mind finds the opposite and you start tricking your mind, your body always receives whatever your mind wants it to receive. Your body begins to receive all the positivity. Now your body is becoming more radiant. As your body becomes more radiant, you begin to shed. You begin to shed all that's anchoring. See how he's got that hoe in his hand? I think that's what it's called. It's actually like anchoring him. But as you begin to release with the radiance of duality, you begin to release your heartache and your pain. And this brings severe presence into your life. So as you're releasing the pain and the heartache, you are becoming more aware of your feelings, and which then affect your thoughts. When your body is receiving positive, your thoughts are going to be more positive. So the cycle of transformation of the body will only happen once the mind does the work. You have to do. Your solar plex chakra above the belly button is there for a reason, and you have to utilize it, and you have to make that change consciously. When you're conscious, like, holy shit, I love that I'm smelling the roses. This is what happened to me. And I'm like, now I'm seeing all these insects, and look, everybody has a special place in Mother Nature. These things, this is life. I am part of this nature system. That's all. And that is when your body is receiving the transformation and shedding, like that card that I just showed you. So the ultimate thing is get out of the stagnation. Get out of this stagnant feeling, because stagnation is comfort and it doesn't, you get bored. Who wants boredom? Boredom is only fun when you come to a place of nothingness in life, because, excuse me, I get excited over these vlogs. Because in nothingness, you can actually like fathom life. You're like, holy, if I'm everything, yet I'm nothing, then I can do anything. What? That's crazy. Other than that, stagnation and boredom, not the greatest of energies. So what the other thing before I go, I just want to say is when you start making the changes with your mind and your body begins to go through a transformation and the shedding occurs, ultimately, when I was a newbie at all of this, I was releasing people, of course, because our energy, I couldn't resonate with them. But what I've learned now is when you confront people and you politely try and say goodbye, they're going to take offense to it. I always ended up fighting with people and losing people in my life, not in a positive way, and I hated it. And it was only until last year that I decided, I didn't know why I was doing this, but I decided, you know what? I'm gonna shed people with saying nothing. I'm gonna let the universe do its thing, because toxic people will not wanna be around me. I don't get into the gossip. I don't do that shit. So I'm gonna let the universe take care of it. And it did. Even those people that I didn't want to be around, when you can actually stop saying to them or giving them a reason that you don't want to hang out with them anymore, literally they go away. So when you're in, and this is more advanced, this is a little bit later in the journey, when you might feel inclined to do this, is if you keep this mouth shut and let the people that need to go away, it's a much more peaceful journey. It doesn't hurt as much. As you grow spiritually, you'll hear a lot of spiritualists say it's a painful journey because you release a lot of people too. But I find it's more peaceful when you say nothing and these people just go away. They really do. And that is when you begin to look at life with clarity. The confusion starts to melt away and you just become more clear in everyday life and what you're bringing to the table. It's done with a knowing. And as you do this, you're bringing the harvest, and the harvest is the soul. The harvest is right here. The harvest is this guy here. This is your spirit complex. Your spirit is now awakening the real you, the real mind, the real body, the real spirit complex. Your spirit loves this. And this is like the harvest. It's the awakening. So I love you guys. I hope that made sense. And if it didn't, let me know if you have any questions. I try and answer them. I am really bad at it, but I do try and answer the questions. So I need to be better. But I love you guys.